Hi guys, I'm here in my kitchen, and this morning when I got up, I was reading the Bible, reading in the book of James again. This time was in chapter 4, and it's talking about where wars and fights come from. And it's interesting because it says, which is not surprising, but it is interesting, it says that it says in verse 1, where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members? Interesting. Where do fights and wars come from? Again, they come from our desires. When we don't get what we want, when we want something that somebody else has that we don't have. Verse 2 says, you lust and do not have, you murder and covet and cannot obtain, you fight and war, yet you do not have, because you do not ask. Pretty straightforward, doesn't need much explanation really, but it is something that we need to think and reflect on. Are we fighting with somebody? Are we having problems with somebody? Why is that? What's going on? What is it that we want that we're not obtaining? What is it that they have maybe that we want? And what do we want that we don't have? Why don't we have it? Because we don't ask. And who should we ask? We shouldn't be asking our spouse. We shouldn't be asking our parents. We shouldn't be asking our friends or anybody else. We should be asking God. God is who we should be asking. And it says in verse 3, you ask and do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures. So when we do ask God and we don't receive, it's because our heart is in the wrong place. Our reasoning behind what we want isn't because we want to do good. It isn't beneficial really to anybody other than us just having because we wanting to have, just to have it, to show off, to be prideful, to be boastful, so that other people can think that we are blessed. But then we're not blessed because we don't get what we're asking for because our heart isn't in the right place. So we really need to think and we need to reflect on why we are asking for something and why we're not getting what we ask for. So I encourage each one of you to think deeply into your hearts and analyze anything that you may be wanting that you're not receiving. Analyze your heart. Again, our heart is what guides us. It's what determines the direction that we're going to follow. So it's very important to always take inventory of what is in our heart. What are the reasons behind our words, our actions, our feelings, and spend time with God. Everything that we go through is based on our relationship with God. So if excuse me, something's going on in your life and you're not happy with it, check your relationship. How are you with God? How much time do you spend talking to Him? How much time do you spend reading His Word, meditating on His Word? And we see the times that we're in, we see the wars that are going on, and they're all based on somebody who wants something and can't get it. So we need to think, because it starts with one person. One person can start a war, seriously. And maybe there's a war going on in your house. Maybe there's a war going on in your marriage. Why? How did that war start? Maybe it wasn't your fault, but what did you do? How did you react? Because takes two people to fight and all that stuff. But further down here in this book, it tells us how, in verse 6, it says, but He gives more grace. Therefore He says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Therefore, verse 7, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double minded. So we need to be single minded, focused on God, and not double minded, meaning yes, we want a relationship with God, but we also want a relationship with the world. We want to have the worldly things. We have worldly desires. We're not thinking about the kingdom of God. We're not thinking about advancing the kingdom. We're thinking about buying a new handbag, or buying the latest model of a car, or, getting a bigger house, or all the things that the world thinks about. And that's not what we're called to think about. We need to be single minded, we need to be focused on the kingdom of God, and that is how then we will be blessed. And a lot of desires that we have to have material possessions is not bad. It's not bad to want to live better, to have better things, but it shouldn't be our focus. It shouldn't be a priority, our number one priority. Our number one priority should be God and advancing the kingdom of God. So take some time to reflect, take some time to pray, read chapter 4 of the book of James, and be encouraged and be blessed. I love you all. See you later.